Hey there, welcome to my channel. My name is Shawn, and today's video I'm going to be answering the most commonly asked questions I get asked about sequins fabric and how to embroider with it without breaking needles or without it getting all over the place. Side note, sequins is going to get everywhere, so there's no way to avoid that part. But I'm also going to go over some supplies that I would highly suggest you have when you're working with sequins fabric, and also show you some examples. I'm also wearing an example as well. So let's go ahead and jump right into the video. So I have a few types of sequins, and I got to grab another one from down there. So there's 3 different types of sequins that I like to use when I'm embroidering my applique designs. If you are new to my channel, I love to do applique. If you have been following me for a while, you know I love applique designs. So what made me started to use sequins fabric is I love applique designs, but I wanted to do something different than just your regular fabric. Now I do both, but my sequins applique designs are way more popular than my fabric designs. So I've been working with sequins, I want to say a little over a year, almost about a year and a half, maybe a year and 5 months, somewhere around there. And I just want to give you the information that I've learned through trial and error, because there's really not a lot of information on how to embroider with sequins and the different types of sequins. So starting there's multiple types of sequins. There's flat sequins, there's reversible sequins, there's stretch sequins, and there's also irregular sequins. So irregular sequins would be like your shapes, like your stars, your flowers, things like that. I normally don't use the irregular sequins, but the other types I have used or do currently use. So starting off, now these two are the same types of sequins. So this is a flat sequins and it is on mesh fabric. So let me just open this up. And as you can see, it still gives you a very nice shine, but it is sheer. You're gonna, if you could see my hand through there, this type of sequence is gonna be more sheer. So that is the front of the sequence, and then the back is gonna be the mesh. And this does have some stretch to it as well. So that is the back of it and that is the front of it. And like I say, as you can see, it is sheer. You can, see through it. And then you can find sequins in a variety of colors. I have solid colors. I also have these ombre colors, which are really popular. Same thing, flat sequins, and it is also on a mesh fabric. Now, another type of sequins that has become really popular, and I want to say I've been seeing it more and more over the last 3 to 4 months, and that is the sequins on velvet fabric. Now, the thing that I like about this one is that velvet fabric, it is much thicker. As you can see, it is not see-through. And the sequins on this type of material is usually iridescent. So depending on how the light hits it, how the sun hits it, it's gonna give off a different shine. Now you're still gonna get that really nice shine regardless, but these sequins kind of stick up a little bit more. So these are becoming, again, really popular. I really love this. As you can see, hopefully you can see that as I kind of turn it, the light hits it a little bit differently. And then that is how the back is looking. And this does have stretch to it as well. And then let me grab one of these. And this is reversible sequins. So you can just rub it and it will change colors. You can also sublimate on this one, the one that's silver or white. So you can sublimate on these too, but these are the 3 that I use for embroidering. So the reversible sequins, the velvet sequins, and then the mesh sequins. Those are my 3 favorites. I've been using those for the last year. Absolutely love them. Now, with that being said, there's a lot to learn. Well, not a lot to learn, but some kind of tips that I've learned along the way. As far as supplies, as far as needles, that's the number one question I get asked. What needles are you using? People have reached out to me and said they've tried, you know, they follow my tutorials, everything was going smooth and their needles started breaking. Why are their needles breaking? And am I using any type of special needles? So normally when I'm doing these designs, I'm doing them on my Bimira 15 needle embroidery machine, but I have done sequins on my single needle, my Brother PE 900 as well, using the exact same needles, no breaks. I've had one needle break in the past year. So hey, either I got lucky or I just figured it out. But with that one needle break, it was because of this reversible. The reversible is a lot thicker, and yes, it is on mesh, but it is a lot thicker. So you're going to need a stronger needle for this type of sequence fabric. For my velvet sequence and my mesh sequence, the flat mesh sequence, not the reversible mesh, I use different needles for these. This one gets a different needle, okay? So for these three, I use a standard 7511. I do not slow my machine down. I stitch my shirts out, my sweatshirts out at, I want to say around 850 to 800 to 850-ish, sometimes 900, give or take, with no issues with the standard 7511 needle for these. Now for this reversible sequence fabric, I like to use a 8012 titanium needle because again, that reversible sequence, it is a little bit thicker and it does have a little bit more weight to it, even compared to the I want to say not satin, but velvet sequence. And you could tell they're not heavy, but this one is going to weigh less than this one, and this one is going to weigh less than this one. So 7511 needles, 8012 titanium needle. Now, if you see that your needle is constantly breaking, I would suggest making sure that you have in a new needle or put in a new needle. I would also maybe do a test. Cut a piece of your sequins, put it on a piece of cutaway stabilizer, and do a quick test so you can make any adjustments. I do not make any adjustments to my tension, regardless of if I'm embroidering with any of these. My tension stays the same. I do not make any adjustments there. Okay, so again, 7511 needles, 8012 titanium. But if you, for some reason, find even after doing your test stitches, your needle, you're having issues, I would then go with the 8012 titanium needle. Just go up to the next size needle, and that way you have a more sharper needle that will be able to penetrate the sequence without any issue. Sometimes it could also be a combination of the sequence and the garment that you're using as well. Now with sweatshirts, I haven't had any issues. I've even put a sequence design on jackets. I haven't had any issues, but maybe the thicker the material, that could be causing the issue with the sequence, possibly. Now, some supplies that I highly recommend. You're working with sequins. As soon as you cut this stuff, as you can see, I'm starting to get sequins all over, and this is scraps right here. So it's already been cut, but you're gonna get sequins everywhere once you start to actually cut your piece off to embroider on. Lint roller. Get you a lint roller, or I highly suggest a handheld vac. I use both because you're going to be using these. If you're like me, I'm cleaning up my workspace as I'm working, so I'll cut my fabric, hoop everything back up, or put it back on the machine, and then I start cleaning up, because when I'm taking my shirt off the machine, I don't want to have to lay it down on top of the sequins and then clean the shirt off. I try to have my workspace clean. So a large lint roller or a handheld vac will be your absolute best friend. Another thing, Heat and Bond Lite. Get you some of this. They have it in the small packages. I want to say 5 yards by 12 inches or something like that. On Amazon, I'll have it linked below for you, and that's maybe like $15 to $20. I usually get this roll. You can also get a larger roll as well. This one was, I want to say, about $60, $70-ish, but it's worth it because I use a lot of this because, again, I do a lot of applique. Applying this to your fabric, regardless of if it's sequins or not, especially for sequins, this is going to be key because when you get ready to cut your fabric, it's almost like it's holding that fabric together. This helps your fabric from fraying, not just sequins, any type of fabric. So I would highly recommend putting this on. Once you do your placement stitch, when you get ready to lay your fabric down and do your tack down stitch, make sure you have your heat and bond adhered to your fabric. That way it makes it so much easier to cut. Your scissors should glide through it. Trust me, I've done it both with and without, and there is a huge difference. So make sure you have yourself some Heat and Bond Lite. It's going to be the purple one. There's a few Heat and Bonds. There's one in this one in the purple packaging. There's the Heat and Bond Ultra Hold in the red packaging. And I believe there's another one. Make sure it's the purple Heat and Bond Lite. Okay, next, most important, you need curved applique scissors. You need good, sharp, curved applique scissors. You will have the time of your life if your scissors are dull, or if you're using just, let's say, just a standard pair of scissors to try to cut out your applique. That's going to make your life way harder. Make sure you have a good pair of curved, sharp scissors. And for when my scissors get dull, I have this Fiskars sharpener. I got this and these pair of scissors from Joann, but I know they have both of these on Amazon, so I'll make sure to link them for you. These are a pair of Viking scissors I got from their Viking machine area, and these are really nice. Again, they have that nice curve to them, but these are my absolute favorite, especially for those hard to get letters like E's or trying to think like H's, when you really have to get down in there and cut in between those small pieces. That could be really hard. These are my favorite. These are my Gingher. These are the 6-inch curved scissors, but they're double curved. So it makes it easier for you to see and control and make sure you're getting right up on that tack down stitch without cutting that stitch. So when I say double curved, if you look at them right here where the handle is, there's another curve there. So it makes it more comfortable to cut with these than these. Now these are still really good, don't get me wrong, but the double curved applique scissors is a must have, at least for me. Now these Gingher scissors, I want to say they were about $35, so they're not cheap, but they are definitely worth it. I love them. I haven't had any issues with them. If they happen to get dull, I just sharpen my scissors and keep on. So make sure you have a pair of very sharp curved applique scissors. I would stay away from using just regular shears, regardless if they have the spring handle or if they're just your regular scissors. I wouldn't use these for applique because you're bound to cut your thread. Okay, so stay away from these. Invest in these. All right, and just some samples to show you. So same, this here iridescent red, but this one has different color sequins on here, so it's a multicolor sequence. This is the same purple here on the velvet. Then this one is the blue, this one here. And as you can see, even though it is sheer, it still gives you a nice shine. It still makes your applique design pop. And then this one here would be the ombre. And that is how that one looks. So you can really step up your applique game, or just, besides using HTV glitter, sequins fabric is another way to go. I like using HTV glitter as well, but I love sequins more. Now, applique is going to be easier to, or not applique, but HTV glitter is going to be way easier to work with. You can let it stitch out and just rip it off at the end. Ain't no ripping this stuff off. You're cutting. After it does that tack down stitch, you're removing that hoop and you're having to cut it out. There's no way around it. And I would not suggest waiting to the end like you can with glitter HTV to just rip it away. Even if you're just using regular fabric, make sure you take it off after that tack down stitch and trim it down if you're not using HTV glitter, regardless of the fabric type. But I just wanted to answer some of the questions, mainly the needle question, because I get that a lot. I've gotten emails about it. I got comments on my videos here on YouTube, on TikTok. I've got comments and people are like, my needles keep breaking. What am I doing wrong? Do I need to adjust my tension? Do I need to change my thread? Do I need to do this? If your needle's breaking, is something either the material that you're embroidering on, or you need a sharper needle. Like I say, if your 7511 is breaking, even though you're using, it on a flat mesh sequins fabric or your velvet fabric, I would just bump it up to that 8012 titanium needle. I only use it for this one. Again, the only time I had a needle break on my Bimira was when I used the 7511 on this reversible. And that, once I realized that was the issue, I just tried switching to, because I do have a few 8012 titaniums. I have 7511 and I have 65.9s. Those are the needles that I mainly use. And so I just switched to the 8012, switched out my thread color, and it stitched out beautifully. So again, I don't have to adjust my tension on my machine. Your machine could be different. And the same applies whether if you're using a multi-needle machine or a single needle machine. The same rules would apply, in my opinion, from my experience embroidering sequins on both types of machines, single needle and multi-needle. Again, you could do that sample test, do a tension test beforehand. Make sure, if you haven't had any issues with your tension prior to embroidery with sequins, there should be no need to adjust it. But it can, and another thing, if you're doing sequins on a hat, now that is where you will have to do some adjusting to your tension, but your bobbin case, you just want to make some adjustments to your bobbin case, because that on a hat is going to be a little bit different. For me personally, I already have a different bobbin case for my hats versus my flats. And so I have one for my hats, my flats, and then sequins for hats. So that could be an issue as well if you're embroidering on hats, especially if you're doing it on a structured hat. That could be another issue. So make sure if you're doing it on a hat, you adjust that bobbin case for that particular design. Again, even with hats, structured hats, I normally use an 8012 titanium needle anyways. I would definitely do it when embroidering sequins on a structured hat. I've had a handful of orders that a person wanted the sequins on a hat, and I'm like, oh, okay, that was a first, and turned out cute, no issues. Again, if you could take anything away from this video, is do a test stitch first. Do a test stitch before testing it onto your garment. If you have a similar piece of fabric, or maybe a shirt you made a mistake on, any shirts I make mistakes on, or if I have a bird's nest or whatever the issue might be, and I just put that sweater to the side, I save those so I can use those to test on. So rule of thumb, don't throw away your mistakes. I keep mine in a tote. When I need to do a test and it calls for that similar material, that's what I use. But overall, again, the supplies, you will need heat and bond, you'll need your applique scissors, you're going to need, I highly recommend a vac as well as a lint roller to pick all the pieces of sequins up. You're going to have sequins on your workspace, you're going to have sequins on the floor, you're going to get sequins on yourself. I've had it in my hair before, don't even know how I got there. Test stitch, needles, 75, your standard 75/11. If you're doing a reversible sequence, I would highly recommend an 80/12. If you're still getting breaks with the 75/11, especially the this material here on the velvet is a little bit more, well, it is much thicker, well, not much thicker, but a little bit more thicker than your standard mesh, and you may need to go up to that 80/12 if you're getting thread breaks. So I hope this helps. I will have links to where you can get some sequins fabric. I will have the links for the applique scissors, as well as the heat and bond, the mini vac, and the lint roller. All of these supplies are all from Amazon. So you can, and as well as the scissor sharpener. This is from Amazon, well, from Joann's, but they have it on Amazon. And then I'll have links for sequins fabric in the description box. But I hope this helps answer your questions. Hopefully, you know, you give it a try and you're not frustrated and you're able to get through a full design and start to love sequins the way that I do. And another question, do I press mine after the fact? Yes, whenever I'm doing applique, I'm using heat and bond. After everything stitches out, I clean up the design, I'm pressing it. And another thing I do like about the velvet sequence is it kind of has like a puff effect. It kind of stands out, and I really like that too. The mesh sequence is going to have a more flatter look, and even on the shirt that I have on, it kind of sticks out a little bit more compared to the mesh sequence fabric, as you can see there. But you're still going to get good shine either way. And yeah, let me know if you do have any additional questions. I would be happy to help. And I'll have everything in the description box. So thanks so much for watching today's video. Hopefully you will get the hang of working with sequins, and I will be able to see some of your beautiful designs as I'm scrolling through social media. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button or the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. I do a bunch of different DIY videos, tutorials, and try to help you out in your craft and business journey. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.